Comments made on the following paid commercial program are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time.
Welcome to the Money and Wealth Show. On the program this week, tax tips with David Ingram, money commercials, and our special guest, Dr. Andre Gerolymatos. Welcome to the Money and Wealth Show. I'm Sterling Fox, and our special guest today is Dr. Andre Gerolymatos, head of the Department of Hellenic Studies at Simon Fraser University, and we are on campus to meet and speak with Dr. Gerolymatos. Andre, a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
The world is paying a great deal of attention to Greece and the European Union and the fallout from some serious financial problems in that part of the world. And we're pleased to have you with us today to give us a little bit of background on why Greece is in so much trouble and where you think this is all going to go. So if you would start, please, by taking us back a decade or two to give us some sense of why Greece is in the mess that it's in today.
It's a very long story, and it really begins even in the 19th century, but in the 20th century, Greece went, through occupation of the Axis powers in the 1940s. Then afterwards, there was the Civil War, which finished off the country that the Axis didn't do. And then, of course, there was the Cold War that placed Greece in the front line of the Cold War, which meant that the country had to spend a disproportionate amount of money on armaments. Now, at the same time, of course, there's a great deal of corruption. The political system has never been very good. And of course, in the 1960s, there was a military dictatorship for 7 years. Tremendous competition with Turkey, which again increased the sales of armaments for Greece. And that's still going on today. Most of the population seems to be working for the Greek civil service because, Greece is a poor country. I mean, except for tourism, sun, surf, and beaches, there's not much of an industry. So it's not that unusual that so many people work for the government.
So is this whole business with joining NATO as part of the whole Cold War thing and the purchasing of armaments required by NATO to be a member of the club, is that where the Greek financial debt issues began? Basically buying tanks and subs and airplanes that they couldn't afford in the first place?
Partly. It begins there, but it continues after the end of the Cold War with the European Union, particularly with Germany. And when borrowing money from the Germans or when issuing bonds, Greek bonds that the Germans would buy, and also in trying to get certain EU grants, there was a kind of a kickback relationship between Germany and Greece. The Greeks would get the money, but they would have to kick back a certain amount back to the Germans, but also buy German products that the Germans wanted them to buy. For example, they've purchased over 1,000 tanks. Now, if you look at the map of Greece, it's a mountainous country.
That's right. Yeah.
It doesn't need 1,000 tanks.
Right.
And what's even more ironic is that 500 of those tanks, the Germans have not made shells for them. The Greeks have to build their own factories to make shells, so the tanks are useless for the interim period.
But the tanks were a condition of getting a big loan from Germany to advance the country in some way, so thus they have 500 tanks in their garage, so to speak.
Exactly, and then on top of that, they had to buy German submarines, which one of them didn't work. It's still in Germany. So, that bore a tremendous burden on the Greek economy, compounded with a political system that is very corrupt. And of course, a population that is not used to paying taxes. Now, a lot has been made about that, but there is no such thing as free lunch. Greeks do pay out a lot of money. They just don't pay a formal tax. They pay it indirectly, whether it's kickbacks to local politicians, to civil servants, but the whole country, there's an underground economy that's been functioning. That costs people a great deal of money.
But that's been a bit of a jaw-dropping headline in the financial pages in recent days, and I've seen it on television too, Andre, where all of a sudden we come to learn that 80+% of the Greek working population pays no taxes. And in Canada, of course, that's beyond comprehension. Do they not have a central revenue agency that chases after people in the good old Canadian style?
Well, you know, if 1% of the population or 5% of the population doesn't pay taxes, you can go after them. But if 95 or 90 or 82% of the population doesn't pay taxes, it's very hard to go after such a large percentage of the population. However, Canadians get something back for their taxes. We have Medicare, we have a great educational system, we have great roads. Greeks, you know, do not have that. They do not have a good medical system. The universities are subpar. So, you know, it's hard for the Greek person to say, well, I'll pay taxes, and what do I get out of it? Very little. However, as I said before, they do pay. Give you an example, education is free in Greece, but to get into a Greek university, you have to pass national exams. To pass national exams, you need to go to preparatory schools, which of course are not free.
Ah, okay.
So, you know, the average parent, the moment they have a child born, they have to start saving from day one when that kid is ready to go to university, because they need to go through all these preparatory schools in elementary school, high school, and then university.
Let me get you to verify a couple of other factoids that have been in the papers. I mean, Greece is receiving tons of coverage these days, and it's just great to have you here with us. And I should point out as well that our guest, Dr. Gerolymatos, is Greek by birth, born in Athens, came to Canada with his family as a boy, raised and educated in Montreal. And Andre, one of the other facts that we hear is that the population of Greece is approximately 1/3 the population of Canada, roughly 11 million people, and yet they have twice the size of the Canadian civil service. Is this true?
It is, very much so, yeah. Because it's partly because of political corruption. You know, when a particular party would get elected, they would appoint a lot of their followers to the civil service. But at the same time, you know, the government is the biggest employer because of the lack of industry.
Now, you mentioned tourism, and certainly most of us know Greece through the islands and the wonderful tourist possibilities and destinations the country provides. But in addition to tourism, you said moments ago, that's about it for industry. Why is that?
It's a country that has no natural resources. Because of the wars and occupation and civil wars, they've never had a chance to build an infrastructure, so they've relied on tourism. And tourism is a very fickle thing. I mean, one day Greece is popular, next day Greece is not.
Sure.
Also, it boosts prices. You know, a cup of coffee in downtown Athens is like $6, beyond the range of people who make about 500 euros a month. You know, the average wage in Greece, a good wage, is 1,000 euros. That's way below what Canadians make. And on top of that, you know, they have to pay out to doctors, to politicians, to whatever services they want to get, because these people also do not make a very good wage.
All right. Our guest is Dr. Andre Gerolymatos, and we're here at Simon Fraser University this weekend to talk about Greece, because half the world is doing just that. This is the Money and Wealth Show, and we'll be right back.
My name is David Wolfen. I'm the president of Avino Silver and Gold Mines. Avino owns 100% of the historic Avino mine in Durango, Mexico. Mining dates back over 500 years, and under our control, we mined it for 27 years. We're starting on a new era of mining, and we plan to reopen the mine this year. Avino trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol ASM. For more information, call 604-682-3701 or visit the company's website, www.avino.com.